Hey, how's everybody doing? Jason V. Cerev, AXIOM TV. Um, we're going to get into a subject today that many people are uncomfortable with, but it is you know how we like to do it here. If it is a subject worth discussing, regardless of how uncomfortable it makes others feel, we engage it anyway. Now, today's subject we are going to talk about is extinctions / death. Now, before we go into that, let's start with some prerequisites. As I wanted you to keep in mind that as long as there is a possibility, then whatever can happen will eventually happen, given the amount of opportunity to happen. Now, not only is that Murphy's Law, but that is an actual mathematical truth. If something has happened before, the chances are it's going to happen again, only with a slight variation to it. So the characters may change, maybe the location may change, or some other factor, but basically it is the same situation, just with some variation to it. In fact, a lot of us live compulsory loops and can identify with this in situations in our own lives. Maybe many of us keep choosing an abusive romantic partner to be with, or maybe some of us love to self-sabotage ourselves when we see we're about to accomplish something. And there are other examples of this. But let's go into Murphy's Law and really see if you grasp what that means, because it does apply to everything. And when you think of it in that light, that as long as there's a possibility, then whatever can happen eventually will happen, given the amount of opportunity to happen. Excuse the night bugs, they are outside the window, and it is nighttime that I'm doing this video. But once you think about that and realize that it applies to everything, you realize that it would mean that material life, our very life experience, is a race to never nowhere. We are basically biding time till the next mass extinction of human beings or of life on the planet. And let me tell you what I mean. We already know for a fact that mass extinctions have happened on the planet before. Multiple, in fact. You can reference the dinosaurs as well as the other 90% of species that used to be alive on planet Earth that we know of. And being that the cosmos is based on cycles, for example, Halley's Comet, weather patterns, the orbit of the planets, mass extinction is not just a guess or a wonder. It is actually a 100% guarantee to happen again, being that it has already taken place before. So we're only going to get a variation, but a mass extinction nonetheless. I know nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody likes to think about death. We think as if we don't put it out of our minds, then our mortality will never come to be realized. It's the same reason why a lot of us put off filling out wills, even though we know we are closer to death than we were yesterday. But once again, being that you are watching a video from AXIOM TV, surmounting barriers, mental barriers and hurdles is the business that we are in. Now, being that we're so scared of death, it's a wonder that we celebrate holidays such as Halloween or the Day of the Dead or even Memorial Day, because all of these days, holidays, are days that remind us of death. Even Martin Luther King Day, if you think about it, it is a day to remind us of death. And what's ironic about them is that in these figurative representations that are our holidays, they are also harbingers, if you will. They are clues or hints to our impending mass extinction, our impending doom that we are proceeding towards, our literal future. Keep in mind that we are born to die, which is why I say people who say that they have kids to be happy or out of love are being disingenuous. Because why would you have a child out of thinking that is an act of love when you know that every life form is born to die? That is the literal job of being born, is that you are to develop and then die. So is that an act of love? Are we going to say that that's an act of kindness? But that aside, that's for another video. In fact, we cover that in another video. Being that we are born to die, have you ever considered the possibility of what if time itself is also born to die? Of what if time itself is also mortal? Well, this would mean that Earth would also form again. Because remember, time has to be mortal. Oh man, time has to be mortal, or time has to work in a way that it is I want to say that it is subservient to the underlying math of life experience, which would be one of those things Murphy would be like Murphy's Law, for example. Anything that happens already eventually will happen again given the amount of time, and it will happen again in slight variation. Now, since the Earth formed before, in fact, since the universe experienced an event horizon before, a beginning, this would mean that with slight variation, Earth will have to, after our mass extinction, Earth will form again. And going even before that, there will be another event horizon, since it has already happened before. Here is where it's crucial to keep in mind that time on one aspect does not exist at all, and that would be in the immortal vantage to look at it, the immortal perspective to look at it. But at the same time that time does not exist, it also does. And those would be two extremes to this same line of code within line experience, if you will, within the laws of actual life experience, the fundamental laws of life experience. Time exists on one aspect and time does not on another aspect. I go into it a little bit deeper on another video on the aspect of time. But in this sense, this means that time is infinite in the aspect that there is no time. So everything is essentially guaranteed to keep repeating itself, with not only in life, but the entire process of life experience will continue to start, develop, end, and start over again, over and over and over again, until human beings solve our innate purpose for being in life experience, which is to solve for the X of life experience, the entire mystery of it. That is the reason why we have been given this great brain that we have. That is the reason why we have curiosity, and that is the reason why we experience boredom. So we should consider that this is also plays in the concept of reincarnation, or follows from the concept of reincarnation, and how it is said to work. Time is a procession of repeating mass extinctions, if we are to be honest. And what that is a repeating death forever or indefinitely. It is what I deem the state of etc. That is exactly what life experience is, if we are being honest in our assessment of it. It is a repeating state of etc. Repeating deaths indefinitely. The counterbalance to that of repeating death is that remember, before death comes birth. So comes repeating emergences, repeating births, repeating amnesia. Either way, it is never ending unless we use our minds to finally transcend our own emotions, as well as societal life, our inherited biases, and all the other challenges that life experience, which is a game and a test and a challenge, throws at us in order to confuse us from realizing or successfully surmounting or completing it. Thank you.